Good morning. Thank you, David. Just when I think you can't play that any more beautifully, you do. So, good morning, Unity of the Palm Beaches. Welcome to this experience of our Sunday celebration service. Again, virtually, doesn't weaken our connection, though I long for the day when we will fill this room together again. For now, we recognize the power of shared consciousness, whether that be physical or virtual. Ultimately, it is all about consciousness. So thank you for being a part of this, for choosing to uplift the world by lending your consciousness to this experience. I'd like to start in a little bit of an unusual way today. I was notified that at 1:28 this morning, our beloved Bill Aronson took flight back into immortality. Many of you knew Bill. Bill was our board president. Bill and his wondrous wife, Joan, longtime members of Unity of the Palm Beaches, just incredible human beings. They did move away from this side of the coast over to the west side of Florida in 2014. Before they did so, though, I'm going to have a selfish moment here. Bill was the president when I signed my first contract. Pat Russo, Linda Culbertson were the minister selection committee, but Bill was the board president then. I called Bill Abba, which is Hebrew for actually daddy. It's not even father. It has a softer feel to it. And so I have remained in close contact with Bill and with Joan, and was actually so gifted to be able to FaceTime pray with Bill's soul yesterday. So I did want to dedicate this service today to Abba and to Joan. So we send all of our love, and so grateful. So grateful. So as we begin today, I want to begin announcing to you our High Watch prayer chaplains. We have two of them that are on duty every single Sunday. They, in particular, though the whole team is available, two of our chaplains hold the service in prayer from beginning to end. These chaplains are also available. If you call the office prior to 12:15, after the service ends, then you can actually connect on the phone with a prayer chaplain who will pray with you. So today, those prayer chaplains are Sarah and Victoria. So let's just know that they are holding us in their prayer, in their hearts, and in their love throughout our time together. And now let's join with them in prayer. So breathing together, feeling the energy, feeling that presence that is in this place, that is in every place, every space. There is no place where the presence is not. This presence is the only power. And as we attune to it, the power of that presence enters time and space reality, becomes the transforming force of love. By virtue of our prayer, this earth realm becomes heaven consciousness. We dedicate this time not only to our beloved Abba Bill, but also to that transforming power of the energy. We are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. All right. Today's daily word on this March 14th, 2021. It's a good one today. The daily word for today is energy. Energy. The affirmation, the energy of divine life renews me. Feel that inside of your being. The energy of divine life renews me. How do I have the focus to achieve my goals? How do I have the strength to carry on through challenging times? How do I have the aptitude to learn, grow and change when I'm called upon to do new things? At the heart of everything I am called to do is the energy to do it. I am a divine being, and I call upon the power of God within me to channel my energy in deliberate ways. Divine energy is inexhaustible. Listen to that again. Divine energy is inexhaustible. Unlike my muscles, which can tire, and my mind, which can feel frazzled, the power of God within flows through me unimpeded. In prayer, I claim divine energy and imagine it flowing through me with the force of a mighty waterfall. I am grateful for my renewal. The scripture from the prophet Isaiah, even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will feel exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. In prayer, I claim divine energy. So let's do that together as we light our Christ candle, and David and Trish bring us musically into our time of contemplation.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray.
So I invite you once again, as I do each week, to join me. To join me in that place where there indeed is no distance. The place where we are forever, eternally united within the one. The place where truth where presence where power enter into this realm and animate all that is, all that is. Let's take a cue from our daily word as it says, at the heart of everything. At in the heart is everything. There is the physical organ of the heart. And there is the portal of the Sacred Heart. The entry point the inner temple, the originating intelligence, the all-encompassing love. We activate this sacred portal as we literally bring our attention down out of the head space into the heart center. Breathing consciously. Feeling that subtle energy the energy that cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. Energy is. Spirit is. Source is. And so in order to better feel this source energy in our hearts, in our bodies, we let go of words and sounds as we relax into that source energy. Be still. as we continue to feel this peaceful source energy, we also allow our focus to include more of the external, more words and ideas that point back to the energy of Source which we are. We do so gratefully, and so it is. Amen.
What I love most about rivers is you can't step in the same river twice. The water's always changing, always flowing. But people, I guess, can't live like that. We all must pay a price. To be safe, we lose our chance of ever knowing what's around the river bend, waiting just around the river bend. Just around the river bend, beyond the shore, where the gulls fly free. Don't know what for, what I dream the day might send. Just around the river bend, for me, coming for me. I feel it there beyond those trees, or right behind those waterfalls. Can I ignore that sound of distant drumming? I won't be one who never looks, or might refuse to see, or never dreams that something might be coming. Just around the river bend, just around the river bend, I look once more. Just around the river bend, beyond the shore, somewhere past the sea. Don't know what for. Why do all my dreams extend just around the river bend? Just around the river bend. Should I choose the smoothest course, steady as the beating drum? Who is it I will become? Is all my dreaming at an end? Or do wrapped around the river.
Beautiful. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, David. Such a beautiful, beautiful song. Such an invitation to move with the river. You know, move with the river of life. Move with what is, when so often the human tendency is to kind of fight our way upstream. And I suppose there is a place for that in the grand scheme of things. And having fought the river of life for way more decades than I have agreed to move with, that imagery of what's around the river bend if I allow myself to be carried, right? If I allow myself to be carried, that imagery of a river is one of the many images that speaks to at least my heart about this spiritual evolution. That, you know, we're each and every one of us a river that is moving toward the sea of one, the ocean of oneness. And each and every one of our individual rivers, our streams, if you will, as the Daily Word says, our stream of energy that is moving back to the ocean of one essence. Sometimes our rivers, our streams are tranquil and smooth, and sometimes they're chaotic and choppy, and there are rapids. But it's all a part of the journey that the more that we can relax into it and move with it and go in the direction of where life is carrying us. Now, life isn't carrying us independent of how we are focusing the stream, the energy, right? Our third unity principle, I remind you every single week. By law, we are the engines of our experience. We are the one that is creating the tranquility, the chaos, the rapids, the smoothness, but it's all this moving force of life energy that ultimately, based on what we truly are, it's what beyond religious concepts, what grace really is that regardless of how much of a mess we make in this human realm, grace ensures that based on the truth of our being, that we will eventually arrive at the experience of this ocean of one, the sea of one, the sea of one life, of one love, of one light. And as we begin to awaken more and more to our spiritual reality, the spiritual reality that we are always in, we begin more and more to see life as one. That is the hallmark of true mysticism, is that you begin to, it's not that you don't see or experience separation and fragmentation, but you see it contained within the one. So each and every one of us are waves upon the one sea, the one river, the one stream. One of my favorite prayer practices that I don't really have an opportunity, I haven't found this yet, so if you know of one, email me, let me know where it is. But when I am in North Carolina or when I've been out in Oregon or in California, even in Ohio, where my birthplace, I go to a stream, particularly a stream, a smaller than a river, but a stream that has a bridge over it. And it's where I get to engage in one of, there are many, but one of my favorite prayer practices. And I get on the bridge and I begin my prayer practice by looking downstream. And as I focus my attention downstream, and most streams will have rocks, and so there will be smooth places, and there will be places where those rocks are creating these waves. And so I hold what is downstream as the life that has already happened for me. So my past from this day, now, at this point in my life, there is a whole lot more downstream than there's going to be upstream. But I begin my prayer practice by focusing on that flow that has already moved downstream. And I just kind of allow my awareness to go to all the different ways in which my life has at times been tranquil, and then at other times it has been turbulent, and there's been this dancing of energy flowing. And so that's the first part of my prayer practice. The second part is then I turn around on the bridge and I look upstream. And I begin to just ponder and contemplate what's coming into my experience. What have I yet to experience? And I just welcome what is coming from the upstream into my experience, recognizing that I am a full participant in that there is always a stream of life that is moving in and through me, and then how am I going to choose to dance with, to navigate, and to co-create that energy as it comes upstream in me and then through me. And I am always the point of pondering, if you will. I'm the bridge. So whether I'm standing on the bridge and looking downstream, or whether I'm standing on the bridge and looking upstream, I am a point of consciousness through which then life is flowing. Are you with me? Can you feel that? So I'm going to find a place here in Florida. I'm going to find a place with a bridge and a little stream. But whether I have it or not, it's inside of me. It's inside of me. So in this past year, and again, this weekend feels very significant to me. Last year on this date, March 14th, our board of directors met with Martha Creek, and we had a board retreat. And then the next day, the 15th, was the very first Sunday. Martha Creek was our guest speaker, and Trish and Tim and I and Martha Creek were in my office upstairs, and that's when we began live streaming totally as our only way of being together. We've live streamed for a very long time, but this became the way in which we can connect virtually. And then my fervent prayer is that you have been fed, that the stream of what we have done has added to your life force. But this date, it is now a year that this crisis, if you will, of COVID-19 has been such an experience in our world, across our globe, and also certainly in these United States of America. So for me, I have from the very beginning, again, really allowed myself to mostly stay kind of on a bridge and experience what is moving, what has been happening in this dynamic. I got to tell you, it really, though, I was aware that it was happening first in China, and then it began happening in other places in our world, and then it began to happen in the United States, but it really did catch me by surprise. It felt like there was a point at which this crisis became rapids. And it picked up a velocity. And all of a sudden, we were closing down as Unity of the Palm Beaches. We were going virtually. And it just I was like, wait a minute. Whew, I gotta catch my breath. And what is really happening here? And I have lived in that inquiry throughout this entire time. And even now, a year later, as we now have these vaccines, and approximately 10% of our country's population has been vaccinated, and so something is emerging that begins to feel like there's going to be a smoothing, if you will, of the river. We're not there yet, so we're still in a time of crisis, but I have really felt it as it's a crisis. I think of that Einstein quote, crisis gives way to opportunity. Well, it does if we choose, right? Crisis will become an opportunity if we choose. And so, just for me, it has been a crisis of character, a real crisis of character, and a crisis of choice. And this viral outpicturing of human consciousness, remember that it is a virus that certainly infects the body, that has taken, just in our country, 500 and some thousand lives in the last year, which is it's astounding. It's a virus, but it is first a virus in consciousness. The consciousness then becomes physicality. It begins to be something that, so if we want to really, if we want to deal consciously with this crisis in effect, we must deal with it at the level of cause. And so part of what feels so profound to me is that we are invited to use the crisis as a way to strengthen our character, to strengthen our resolve, to begin to, and this is what, as human beings, we are not good at this, and this is such an opportunity to begin to choose to strengthen the way in which we make choices that are not choices just for the individual. They're not choices about just me. We're moving from a time when me has governed our choices as our theme for 2021 here at Unity of the Palm Beaches. Beyond just me, the power of we. And I'm going to put a capital on that we. The power of we, the power of shared consciousness, the power of developing a strength of character which says life isn't about just me. It's not about just what I want. It's not about my preferences. It's not about the demands to have my way. And what has gone viral is that kind of thinking. That is what has created this crisis. And so there are multiple things that we are seeing out picture. There are multiple effects that cannot be solved only at the individual level. It requires an amplification of the we. Not one person can solve the crisis that we are facing. It is going to require that more and more and more of us expand the way that we live. We expand our sense of me, if you will. You know, when I was led to New Thought Spirituality, I didn't know it was called New Thought Spirituality at the time, but this is 33, 34, I don't know, somewhere around there, years ago. And as I've shared with you many times, I was led to Unity of New York, which is at the time was a rather massive congregation, and Eric Butterworth, just an astounding leader in the Unity movement. I got there and I heard and I thought, and I've shared with you multiple times, but I want to remind you because it's so different for me now. I thought, and this is what I heard, was that this New Thought spirituality was about using spiritual principles, using spiritual law, manipulating, if you will, spiritual principles to get what I want. And there was a lot of talk about prosperity and abundance. And I thought, oh my God, who knew that you could use God to get rich? I didn't know that. That was an astounding thing for me. I'd never heard that before, right? I grew up in a household where if you were going to be all about God, then you had to be poor and you had to be meek and you had to be. And see, I don't think either one of those is true. But I heard, and for the first several years, I lived in what I now would term a spirituality of translation. Translation meaning I'm going to change the effects of the world so that I like it. I'm going to use spiritual principle to control what's happening out there. And when I control what's happening out there, this translated external realm is going to finally make me feel happy in here. And, you know, I kind of had a brief honeymoon phase with that, where my magic wand worked for a little while. And then all of a sudden, my wand stopped working. Now, don't you even go there about fairies and wands, because I know you did. I can feel it. But it stopped working, and it was the best thing that ever happened. Because then I began to find that it wasn't about translation. It was all about transformation. Transformation. That I was here not for what I can get. It's all about what I can give. And if there is a truth to prosperity teachings, it is the truth that by law, as I give, so shall I receive. And so I know today that the more I can allow, the more abundance I can allow into my life, but see, that abundance is going to be a reflection. I'm going to activate the law by giving, and then the law will reflect to me what I have given in the form of realized prosperity and abundance. And that's not just about money. That's about everything in life. So if I want more love in my life in terms of love coming at me, I have got to love more from center to circumference. That's the way the law works. So any of you who may be watching this, who I'm going to say it now. I'm going to take a risk. So you can always click that off button because that's always your prerogative. But, you know, if we have a predominance of people who are just sitting there and listening and watching and waiting on other people to give, you are not going to prosper. And this may or may not be here because this Unity of the Palm Beaches is a collective field of consciousness. It is a critical mass consciousness that must have a tipping point where more people are giving than are people just taking. You're not here to just be fed. Now, listen to me. There is a place in consciousness where you need to take until you get to a point where you have enough nourishment, where you have developed enough spiritual character, enough musculature to recognize, wait a minute, life and consciousness move from center to circumference. It is like that energy, the energy of divine life renews me, not just for me. Divine life renews me so that I can then energize the world. That the world is in my consciousness, and as I transform my consciousness, see, my question throughout this entire year, my question for a long time, but particularly during this crisis, the invitation for crisis to become an opportunity in me. What must I change in me to change the world? What must I? Because there's no world out there independent of me. So as long as you blame the world for what you're feeling, then you're still more in a, somebody's got to tell you, you're still more in a juvenile kind of spirituality than you are in a mature spirituality, which it's going to require a very mature spirituality to take this opportunity, the opportunity of this crisis, one crisis which we call COVID-19. See, this isn't for the little children to kind of solve this. It's going to take grown-ups, spiritual grown-ups who really understand that by law, what in my consciousness must I deal with, must I look at, must I face head on? What in me has gone viral that is infecting my world? That's not a childish question. Childlike kingdom consciousness is not childish. And if your predominant question remains, what can I get? Then you will be at the effect of the world because you don't understand that you are causal, that you're causal. So I am all about, now I got to tell you, there's a little part of me, because of circumstances in my life, I had to grow up at a really young age. So as an adult, I thought, wait a minute, I want time to be a kid. Well, guess what? That's not my path. It's not my path. And for me, this spirituality misused, and see, unity, I was just saying this to somebody, unity is, I would say to you, predominantly translation. And as long as this movement that says it is about prayer, a movement that says it is about transformation, is really more about translation, this movement, if we don't grow up, is going to fall. And unity congregations are closing in droves. And that's the effect. The cause is we've got to grow up and own the power that is within us and consciously direct it for the good of all. Not just for my good, not just for me. It's about we. And I am committed that this congregation will continue to not only survive this pandemic, but to thrive so that we are a force for good in West Palm Beach, in Palm Beach County, in the state of Florida, in the United States of America, and in the world. We were always a radical congregation. People thought that this congregation, people across the entire unity movement thought that funky that used to be down 1957 South Flagler, that big old church building, they thought, what in the hell are those people doing? See, we need to get our mojo back. And we need to grow up. And we need to own the power of what we say we are, because it is only by doing that, it is by individuals one by one, when we can physically do it, joining hands, joining hearts, recognizing that it's time to stop playing. It's time to stop playing. 500 and some thousand people dying is not playtime. And everybody gets to choose, right? You get to choose how you deal with it. So, as I've said multiple times, and there are people who don't like when I say it, and I will not be silenced. As long as I have this platform, I'm going to use it in the way that feels right. So if we cannot show up in a way in this pandemic that is about something bigger than our personal preferences, then we can vaccinate and we can get past this current outpicturing. But I'm telling you, if we do not change the consciousness, the next one's on its way. And if we don't really understand deeper level principles and the way that the law operates, then people will say, don't say that. Don't say it, you'll make it happen. No, I'm commenting on the consciousness that is moving from center to circumference. So all of this divisiveness, this battling, this refusal to take personal responsibility for what science is teaching us, you get to have your opinion. You get to have your opinion. But as I've said multiple times, you keep your opinion away from me. Because you have the right to do what you want, but you do not have the right to infect me with your opinions. Because I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to listen to science. I am going to pray. I'm going to activate the laws. And I'm going to come out of this more than when it began. So here we are, 3 weeks from Easter. Easter is all about a rising up. It's not historical, it's personal. And each and every one of us can claim our personal rising up in this time of crisis, this time of crucifixion. The opportunity is resurrection. Will it happen? Well, ultimately, based on grace, yes. But we need to own our own personal choices. Which are you choosing? Are you going to choose something that is bigger than just you? Well, I don't like wearing a mask. Well, I don't want to stay home. There's something bigger than our wants. And okay, if you don't think that has an effect, then you get to think that. But look at the effects. We use the realm of effect as a mirror of our consciousness. So we're always streaming energy. We're always making choices. And every single choice you make has a consequence, has multiple consequences. And those consequences affect all of us. Did you hear me? Every thought, every feeling, every word, and every action affects the whole. So we, each and every one of us, apply these principles imperfectly, but at least we can move in the direction. In the direction. I am so imperfect. And I have become friendlier and friendlier with it. And I have become more and more committed that my field of consciousness will be a place in which God can happen for the benefit of all, on behalf of all. There's something bigger than me, and that is liberation. Because the separate self, the ego self, ultimately is hell. That's hell. Recognizing we are all one and that we make choices based on oneness. That's heaven. Turbulence, rapids, right? Smooth. It's all the river flowing to one. How will you show up? What choices will you make in consciousness for the benefit of all? That's the power that's within us. Use it consciously. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Taylor. Thank you. So, what's around the river bend? Well, that depends on us. That depends on what we do today and how we flow through this time. We are grateful that you're here. We are grateful for your energetic support of this congregation, of this Unity Center. Thank you so much for being here with us through this time. And as we make those ripples, as we make those waves, and as we go with that flow forward, we know that it is us, it is ours to do to support this congregation through to the time which gets closer every day that we get to come back here and gather in person. We are so grateful that you are here with us to do that. So please check out our website, keep informed, sign up for our Conscious Connection newsletter, share offerings and tithes with us as you feel moved to do so. And every day, we're closer to being together. So let's share today the prayer for protection together from the heart, embodying these words of James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us, and we are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us, and we are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and we claim that all is well. And so it is. And now we'll close with the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Have a blessed week. Take care.